So here we are again with another video, and this time I'm going to show you guys Colorado experience on the Million Dollar Highway. This is basically a educational video from PBS, one of our trusted historical places that we believed in our history. And well, I'm going to show you that you have to apply this to every Colorado town that was in the mountains at this time. And just because they're telling you like this place is unique and that place is unique, you need to think of it as a whole. And then you also have to think about it as in let's give you an idea really on this, okay? So 1870 is when Colorado becomes alive. 1859, or basically we'll just say 1850 is when they supposedly really started finding gold, but they said it's 1859. So 1860, then we got the Civil War, and that rages on. And then they come up with this Rebuild America scheme because they destroyed so much shit. And then here we have the train doesn't come out of Omaha to hit Cheyenne until basically 1869, I believe it was. And 1870 is when Denver first got the train. That's the first train that hit Denver, supposedly, because you have to think about that. Where were they getting the trains from? Colorado wasn't building them. That means they had to come from some plant back east. And not only that, they only built CF&I, and the original was to do the single gauge rail, which is the narrow gauge rail, which is all of Colorado mountain towns, mines up in the mountains, because they had to travel up through there, and they couldn't get a regular railroad up there, and they had to traverse with, a narrow gauge. And it only makes sense because they'd have had to take that much more material out to make it that much wider. And so when you start to think about it, and they're going to cover Ouray basically down here, and they're going to cover the Yankee mine. Now let's really give this thought here, okay? So if Denver didn't get the train till 1870, Colorado Springs got it 1871, Pueblo got it 1872, Canyon City supposedly got it somewhere around 1872, maybe 75, and then Salida didn't actually get it till 1880. And so what I also want to tell you is they've changed the names on all these mountain towns. A lot of them. They've been re-changed. Why would you do that? Only to hide history is the only reason why you'd do that. And that's just it. When you look through these videos and you understand what's being told to you, you're going to wake up and you're going to realize that all of these guys have been manipulating us. And let's go through the video to show you guys like the manipulation that is actually really taking place. And like I said, think about this logically as a whole. That means as soon as they got the train is when they could move mass material. Other than then, you weren't moving that much. And I've gone over that in my other videos. And I'm a construction guy, okay? Let's do this. I'm going to go over Salida, and I'm going to Central City, because I use this one as them pulling in a boiler. And this is one of the mountain towns in Colorado that I've covered. And you could see the team of horses that they had. There's no way that they could have took this up over switchbacks until they got the railroad. There's just absolutely no way. They would have done this in pieces because there's no way you can move this heavy of equipment down a mountain pass. And that's just it, you guys. You go up and down these hills. And that when you're traveling with this heavy of equipment coming down a grade, it's going to be unstoppable. That's why they put Jake brakes in semis to slow them down. This is going to be a key to Salida right here. I'm going to show you guys that more time has passed than what they have told us. And our history is not what they've told us, because of these photographs are pointing out the real history. That means we've been lied to about a lot of things, and that they've used some truth in it to basically, because you have to use some truth in it. I want you to look at this photograph too. Look at this old school train. I mean, how old is that train? Is that one of the first trains that came across? And so I'm going to show you that our history is not what they've told us, and I'm going to go through it and show you. And I'm also going to let you guys know I've been an electrician. I worked on this job site. 2 blocks this thing took up. One of my apprenticeships that I got to be a part of. This one, Maristar Hotel up in Blackhawk. And if you look at all the forest in the background, you'll realize that they've been lying to us about the environment. And this is a funny story, actually, with this. I'll tell you this one. Supposedly, they used too much dynamite when they were blowing this mountain in order to get the foundation set. And supposedly, this is everybody on the job site talking about it. I got there after, so I can't verify how much true it is. But you know, and everybody's on the job site talking about a boulder going through the office and, you know, them fracturing the mountain and they had to drill holes in order to fucking put rods down with concrete in order to keep it from, you know, falling apart. And so when you think about stories like that, and then you think about our history and the beginning of the Old West, when they show us these stupid idiot people, and then these evil masterminds running the fucking country, and yeah, it's crazy, and to think, and I want to thank PBS honestly because they made this possible. They made it possible for me to fucking just rimrad their fucking their horse shit story. Okay, so I wanted also here's another job site, and that was in California. And I've been all over. I have. And so this photograph, which I showed you earlier, I'm going to use my photographs on it because I ain't going to try to pull up all the websites again and lock it down. I'm trying to get you guys to see this as fast as we can because the sooner everybody wakes up, the sooner this is going to be over with. Okay, so this train station that's in Salida, this awning, or you want to call it a doghouse. Let's call it a doghouse so everyone is clear on what it really is. That is considered the doghouse. Okay, so I have a picture of earlier Salida before the hotel was built. And there's the train station, and it hasn't changed except for the doghouse. And there it is. So now we have a time. This right here will give us a marker in time. Not only that, with all the trees, construction, all of it will give us a marker in time. So I'm going to go through the PBS special, and I'm gonna point out all the obvious with it. And I want to thank them again for giving the information because without them, I would have never been able to figure this out. So let's start the freak show. I'm going to use my Twitter page. Basically, I this whole thing's been a weird ride, that's for sure. But anyway, I'm going to use this to talk about our history and show you. And then I want you guys to grasp this one more time before we get into the videos. Think about it. There was no steel coming out of the east until they really got the railroad in. And you have to think about that. And then I know that California was working on their stuff, but that's easy to explain because they had, you know, boats, shipping, and, you know, they had a means to get materials in other than waiting on a horse and wagon to go from Kansas City to either Denver or Pueblo. And I showed you in the other video where Kansas City actually probably went to Pueblo first, and I showed that in other videos where Pueblo was a main network hub for the railroad industry. And think about that. Why wouldn't they build it up here in Cheyenne? Why would they build it in Pueblo, Colorado? Because you still have to go through the mountain range still down here. But Pueblo was built as the network hub. So, like I said, in the amount of time, 30 years, and you guys have to understand what 30 years is. You know what? Get somebody old and ask them how fast 30 years goes. You know, find somebody that's 35 or whatever, and they'll tell you. So basically, I don't know why it keeps doing this, the double calculator, I guess. So we want to just give some dates. So 1860 is what we're going to say, and then we're going to minus 1900, because that's basically the years that I'm really focusing in on to show. Oh man, I wish I would have done that. To really, sorry, I get my fingers. Sometimes I don't have control over them. And then I got thinking about my fingers. Son of a 1860 minus 1900. I'm not a video guy, and I'm not going through and editing these. These are just as raw as they get. You know, I make mistakes, I catch it, and sometimes I say things that, you know, because I'm trying to think of so many things to explain this to you guys to help you understand that there's no way in hell could they have done what they did in the time frame that they did, and especially over the Colorado Rockies. I mean, you have to use common sense on this. I've driven those mountains, I've four-wheeled in them, I've hiked them, I've walked them. I'm telling you right now, and they're going to tell you in the PBS special how fucking hard it was. So think about that. How hard it was, and yet they miraculously did it just in no time at all. So, how long has it ever took them to build a fucking road around your house? And I'm sorry to use the language, but I'm done with this. with if you can't comprehend this right now, then I don't know what to tell you, because it is absolutely solid proof that there's fucking they've hid time, because you cannot build what they did in 40 years. And that's 30 years when they got the train. So basically, Colorado was dead until 1840. They only say that they have Native Americans that were using the town. And here's the other one that I question too, with the land and the Native Americans. Honestly, there was so much land. How would they even know what, like running into each other, especially if they were migrants? I mean, you would have never really. So that just, yeah, unless you went looking for them, that's the only thing I can say. And I'm going to show you why I think they went looking for them. And I could show you in other maps where they had the Indian territory. And yeah, I'm starting to really think that we've been really screwed over. And if you guys don't figure this out soon, and I don't know which side Trump's on, I'm hoping the side of God he's on, because God is truth and this is truth. And I hope that he stands, because that's it, guys. You tell me who's going to step up and change this system. And it needs to be changed from the fucking top to the bottom. You know what? America has enough fucking power. We have enough fucking people. We have enough fucking people that love this country, regardless of what fucking faith. But your ultimate faith is in God. But that's just it. Until you guys figure that out, and figure out that they fucking have done this before with the migrations, they all of it. It's all been played out. It's a playbook. It's the one that they use to conquer America, and it'll be the final one to conquer America. So you guys need to wake up. And that's why I'm using the language I am, because I'm like, either fucking get it or don't. But the ones that get it, we need to start fucking coming together. I mean, really fucking coming together. Because if you guys don't, we're it. We're the line of defense here. And I know there's been other people that have talked about the Titarian and the old world and the mud flood. And yes, I believe that we have something major fucking happened to the United States. I don't care where the fuck you are, something major. And then not only that, with all the fires that they did, yeah, destruction. I mean, it's full on war. And if you guys haven't figured that out, that they're doing the exact same shit that they're doing today. It's just today we have their tools in order to use against them to instantly tell news across the world. It's going to get to the point where you're not even going to trust that. Think about that for a minute. We're going to get to the point where you have to have a name and an ID about who this fucking person is and what they're telling. Because, yeah, I mean, you won't trust anything. It'll be like, these news flashes. And that's just it. That's what they want. Mass confusion. Mass, absolute confusion. And if you don't think it's playing out right now, well, let me tell you, you're part of it. You're one of the 99% that's not awake yet. So please, brothers and sisters, just share.